Hi, I'm Valerie. I'm a reproductive scientist, reproductive clinical scientist.
Thank you. I wonder if you could tell me about DNA.
Okay, so DNA is what makes up our genes, and DNA is short for deoxyribonucleic acid. So this carries the genetic information for nearly all living things, and obviously in humans as well. And it really, if you looked at it kind of under a very, very high power microscope, it looks like a long twisted ladder that's made up of 4 building blocks, and 2 sets of building blocks make up each rung. And these building blocks are called nucleotides. So as the nucleotides pair up in a special way, they make the rungs of a ladder, and it's the order of the rungs that would make the genetic code. So this code determines traits, and in humans that will be things like eye color and hair color. And basically when we study DNA, we're looking to understand how these work and how things are inherited, so that actually we can look at perhaps finding treatments for genetic disease.
Thank you. What can go wrong with DNA?
So several things can go wrong with DNA. And when something goes wrong, it's called a mutation. And this really means a change in the code or a change in one of the building blocks that we were talking about. So the body can't make what it needs, a protein. So wherever that protein is missing in the body, that can cause the symptoms of a disease. They can also happen just when our cells are dividing, for example, when we're in normal growth and repair. And sometimes they can occur because the body has been exposed to radiation or perhaps chemicals. Now, some mutations actually can cause specific diseases if it's just a change in one gene. And these are diseases like cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia. And it's these changes that are inherited and are passed down to a child through the egg or the sperm.
Thank you. And in your work, how do you try to help?
So in my work as a reproductive or clinical scientist, I help people understand how genetic disease can be inherited. And we can do this in a number of ways. So basically, quite often we'll provide genetic counselling so that the patient can understand what the disease is and how it's inherited. And then we can do a procedure called pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. And this is where we actually test embryos to check that if they carry the mutation or not, so that we can put back unaffected embryos in an IVF cycle to avoid passing on a condition. Sometimes people may choose to use an egg or sperm donor so that then they're not passing on a disease. And as I said, a lot of our work is helping people understand what their risk is and understanding ways and their options. And on the horizon, who knows, in the future, we may be able to use the genetic engineering to edit genes to kind of prevent the genetic disease in the embryos in the first place.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.